So in chapter 1, okay, what we have gone through is basically, like I say, the objective of this particular subject is on corporate design, right? So it's about getting you guys to get excited about doing some networking, right? And basically, it will encompass both designing of the network architecture, okay, as well as the very important part will be the addressing and sourcing of both hardware, okay, as well as some of the software application that you should take note, right, in the network uh, design. Okay, so we'll go through some of the very important element in terms of the design processes. Okay, so what we try to get to you is to have a systematical way of designing, okay, a network, right? And networking is now ever more important, right? Especially in this time where a lot of gadgets are now getting onto the internet, and people are expecting a well connected, okay, kind of environment where you have an ecosystem where there are many gadgets, okay, devices, okay, smart devices, IoT devices, all coming on board to get yourself network, right? And this is all very important in terms of our working environment, right? Essentially, any industries, right, whether it's the company's organization or the institute, learning institute that you're in, even at home, we are all well connected. So we need to have a very robust system. Okay, we need to learn at least how this computer gadget actually talk to each other. How are they connected through the various hardware devices that we're going to go through? The hardware like routers, switches, hub, etc. Right? These are the 13 chapters that we'll be going through. Okay, as I mentioned, the textbooks are the recommended textbook, but more importantly, that you should read more than just the textbook itself. Okay, so these are some of the recommended textbook. Okay, and you should move on and read. There are some things that's not being covered in the textbook. Okay, we will try to cover it during the lab. So very quickly, okay, these are the important assessment component. Okay, 2 quizzes, online quizzes. Okay, one will be coming out end of July. Okay, so the each of these quiz, 2 quiz will be 10%. Okay, and there will be about 20 MCQ, right? We will do it during the lab, right? Then there will be 2 assignments. One is the feasibility report, 10%, which today I will talk about the feasibility guideline that you should follow. And this is group, right? You can see highlighted in yellow are the group, as well as the final report is actually a business proposal, 20%. Right, so that will involve some budgeting, some of the hardware that you have sourced. Again, during the lab, we'll discuss more about that. Presentations, yes, during the final lab session, I will expect at least everyone to say something about your network topologies. Okay, why do you propose such networking? Okay, design, and how do you justify it? And the various addressing methods. Okay, whether you're going to adopt subnetting, okay, or are you going to use the variable length subnetting, okay, as well as using a number of subnet together become a supernet, right? So you're going to discuss and tell me, okay, why do you use private addressing, public addressing as well, right? So these are some of the things that you might need to just present, okay. Each person maybe 2-3 minutes, not too many, not too much, okay, because the whole group will take around 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, so these are the weightage. You can look at it. We'll discuss more about this even later on in chapter 2. Okay, so essentially it's like a request for proposal. When people ask for request of quotation, tender, and here is actually a proposal. So it's a short feasibility report. Okay, business proposal will be the 20% and the presentation. final exam, okay, is very important, okay, that you need to study, okay, and I always thought that the final exam is the most critical part, right? There are a lot of students, assignment do very well. When it comes to exam, cannot answer the question, right? So I would rather believe the final exam, right? So usually look at the final exams, okay, to give award distinction high D. Most people assignment can do one, right? Open book, open, you got lots of time to do it. You got a group dynamic to help each other. But when it comes to individual assessment, this final examinations is basically whether you know how to reproduce, okay, the know-how, the things. Okay, there will be some designing expected in the exam as well as some questions, right? Testing your knowledge. Are you able to just write out what do you understand, okay, about certain network philosophy, right? As well as how do you explain it properly and how do you compare, etc. So it's really very individual effort, right? So there are times that students are didn't. I mean, most students will do quite okay and pass the assignment. The one that get them to fail the module, okay, unfortunately, is always the exam, right? So you need to at least write something. There are students who a lot of questions never write one. Okay, so do spend some time to work on the exam content as well, especially the lectures, right? Sometimes some students don't want to attend lectures. I can tell you, attending lectures are important because you know where's the focus. You know what might be tested. You know, if you go and read the lecture notes, I can tell you, you go ahead and go and try to read the PowerPoint. They're all too bullet points, too brief. You're gonna find a hard time trying to understand chapter 1, what is it talking about. Some of the things you might not even get it, right? But I can tell you, if you attend lecture, listen attentively during lectures, when you go back and read the lecture notes, your speed of studying the lectures is definitely more than twice. Okay, when compared to students who maybe, of course, some of you have to work commitment, got boy girlfriend relationship problem that need to go, right? But I can tell you, if you never attend lectures, when you go read a new PowerPoint slide on your own, it's not that straightforward. It's not that simple, right? Especially later part, you see there's a lot of diagrams, network diagrams, flow analysis. Uh, unless you try to get the textbook, right? Otherwise, you don't know what's happening, right? Because a lot of the literature stuff are not there. Okay, so do pay a little bit of attention, okay, during the PowerPoint slides, and I do scribble some important notes. Okay, also for me to remember what I need to say or what I need to focus. So I think you guys should also make the extra effort to take note of some of the words that I scribble, which is over on top of what you are getting the PowerPoint slides. Okay, so there are some extra notes. Okay, sometimes I put it there. But again, if you miss it, hopefully, then you can review my lecture notes. Okay, my video lecture. Like now, I'm trying to record. Hopefully, we did it correctly this time. You can go there and then do a screenshot. Right? Yes. So I just want to make sure I'm recording. Yes, correct. Should be recording. Okay. Right. So network. Okay. So it's about networking. It's about communication. It's about connectivities, connecting all the gadgets together. And I mentioned before, all the devices need a identifier so that they know how to transmit the data packet to the devices, right? And handphone, it does has IP address, right? In case, okay, especially some of the ladies, they don't even know that, handphone also got IP address. I didn't know, okay, only laptop, desktop, servers, okay. Well, you can go to the about phone and go under the status. You should be able to see even the MAC address. Okay, go check it out if you don't know. So all connecting devices need IP address, including IoT devices, smart devices, right? So there are a few things that we'll be discussing, like the network design, network topology, which should also come out in your assignment. Okay, so this extra, something extra, but you all should know, okay, because there's actually a prerequisite before you come to this module. So in the earlier modules, you'll be learning some of these network design, network topologies. Okay, each of them has its own advantages and disadvantages, right? So you all should be aware, and this is for you to tell me and give me a few of these design. And in your assignment too, okay, I will also highlight again, I would like to see a variety of the different design rather than you choose everything. Okay, wireless. That's the easiest way out, right? So I think the whole organization is all on hot testing, wireless access point for everyone. Okay, well, it could be a good design for a real company. Yes, cost effective, very good, convenience, easy to maintenance. You must say all these things. But for academic assessment, assignment 2 assessment, you're going to fare quite not as good I don't say badly, you won't be badly, but not as good as compared to another group, okay, that can offer me a variety of design. Example, don't tell me server room also wireless. Man, where got server room wireless connected, right? Usually it's connected up using at least a mesh network. Okay? Why a mesh network? Redundancy, diversity, more interconnectivity. You must mention all this. You can show something like a hybrid. This is where academic wise, I can give you more marks. Okay, because you have proposed a number of solutions rather than just one simple, easy solutions. Okay, so I hope you guys get the idea, okay, of how to score well and do well in some of the assignment, right? So the 7 layers, okay, these are something that you all should know. All right, I'm not going to go through since we have gone through what, right? So these are the 7 layers and how these 7 layers, okay, has actually, uh, even though these 7 layers, OS 7 layers are kind of obsolete, okay, where most people are now talking about 4 layers, 7 layers too many, but for understanding wise, okay, good to know the 7 layers, what each layers are for, right? Especially the 3 layers, layer 4, 3, 2, right? Where we highlight a lot of important things. The transport layer is more for the reliability in transmission for port number, right? So we need to know, okay, which port this data packet should go to which application. These are associated to the port number, right? Because your computer, okay, receive the data packet, they must know which application to pass it on. Is it to the some of the podcasting, okay, software, or is it to Zoom, Telegram, or is it to PowerPoint, or is it SMTP email, right? So you need to know. Then you have the IP addressing, which is dealt with by the layer 3 network, right? And also the MAC physical addressing, right? And there's also very good close relationship between the IP and the MAC address, where we will make use of, we will talk about the ARP protocol, right? You need that protocol to map, okay, to exactly where is the physical location, where is the physical devices, right? Because why? IP address is dynamic, always change, right? It's dynamic. You can fix your IP, but next moment you change your IP. So you might not be able to discover, right? So you need somebody to tell you map, which is actually a hard-coded, what we call burn, usually cannot change. These are manufacturer embedded. Okay, and you got this diagram that basically show you that, okay, how, like for example, computer A talk to computer B, and how as it travel through data packet that has been traveled to, right, it's been encapsulated with the header informations, right, important header information which is relevant and required for every of the layer, right? It's just like when you send a parcel to somewhere, okay, they wrap it up. When you go to the sorting station, you wrap some more and wrap. So they have their own designated information, right? Either like, is it by air, by plane, by sea, right? And you went through various sorting station, okay, and they will need. So as you go through, and you can see that the data packet is being wrapped around by layers of header or trailer informations, right? And when it pass through the internet, okay, which go through all the nodes, okay, such as routers, switches, they will basically be looking at layer 2 and layer 3's, layer 3 and layer 2 and layer 3's information sometimes, right? Usually the layer 3's, where they use it and finally reach the destination. When it reach the computing devices, it start to strip off, right? Just like you receive a parcel from AliExpress, okay, or Shopee, you notice that they always stick a lot of sticker on top. Right? How come got one address and then they stick another sticker over another address? Okay, so you basically strip out layer by layer. So all the different 7 layers or 4 layers, in this case, they only show the TCP IP 4 layers. Okay, so the more popular one is not the 7 layers, but the 4 layers. So here I actually show you the 4 layer: data link, network link, transport, application. Simplify the whole matter rather than going too in depth, right? But it's good to understand the 7 OSI layer. And as it goes up, you can see that it's stripped off. And finally, what is left is the data, the payload that is required for the application. Okay, so that is a quick run through. So networking is required in all industries, right? All kinds of, and there's a trend that is going to get even more important because people are more demanding. They need the speed, they need the capacity, and they know what is capable, right? So because of all this, we need to know how to optimize, design a proper network that can ensure effective and efficient kind of transmissions, right? So you need to have a network that is agile, that is scalable, okay, that is flexible, okay, so that when one network traffic is congested, you know how to move to another, forward the data packet to another path, right? So what we will be looking at basically is the system methodologies, right? The traditional way, of course, is just device network like this, but not so. As I mentioned, right, you'll find that the two additionals are users. When you do network design, you'll find that there's one entity, which is the user, that you need to satisfy. And now, like I say, the users are more and more educated. They know what they want, they know what to do, they know what they can have, right? So they have greater demand. So you need to ensure that you need to satisfy their requirement. And each users from different department, they will have different agenda, they will have different uh, goal, right? And these are all very important for we will have today's chapter. We will talk about this user in details, right? And as well as the software. Sometimes we design a network. We also got to look at, hey, your network, uh, why are you going to use it for gaming, for video podcasting, or is it for network monitoring? Right? Or is it just a simple Moodle e-learning website, or is it just a mail website? Is it critical? How fast you need, right? What's the delay time? So this software application can be one of the important elements when we go for requirement analysis, right? Which is your first part. So, and of course, in the devices, okay, like routers, switches, all this, it itself has operating system. It has a firmware, right? It has got operating system API, right? So which is actually a combination of hardware and software, right? Because even you look at the simple routers or switches, they're actually intelligent devices which they can actually look at their packet and they can do filtering. You can configure them. So there's actually a software component there. You can configure them using different LAN, different VLAN, which we'll also talk about. Okay, so and while we gather all these requirements, right, we also need to come up with a performance basis. What kind of performance, what kind of service level agreement that is required? So these are also very important. And you have to make sure that this performance can be measured. That's why you need to know about metrics such as capacity, delay time, okay, and also the RMA, which is also very important, right? When you set up a network, okay, people are not seeing it as just one-time effort. They are seeing that it can maintain or not, right? Can you maintain the kind of services, okay, all the time? The kind of reliability, the kind of availability, as well as maintainability. I can maintain it at least. Okay. Network latencies are usually tied to delay time, right? Good. So that quickly kind of wrap up chapter 1. Okay, a quick revisions on chapter 1. And then now we'll move on to chapter 2, right? So without much delay, let's move on to chapter 2, right? So chapter 2, okay, will focus more on network analysis, architecture, design, right? And so you can see that network analysts are basically analyzing, okay, users' requirements. That's what we have been talking. And a lot of time we try to use our perspective, our experience, what we think, what we assume. That can be very dangerous, right? So you cannot just assume that people will like certain network design, certain equipment. So you need to verify. You need to check, okay, with the users, because you need to work out a business proposal for people to sign off, to agree that they will pay for such system at such level of service level of agreement or such level of performance, right? So that it can view as successful deployment, right? So network performance, okay, will be some of the things that we will be dwelling at, okay, and there are a number of components, okay, such as the congestion, right, traffic congestion, okay, the network congestion, etc. So plenty of things for you to talk about, right? And sometimes, okay, you can't just, like I say, you can't just rely on your own experience, right? So you need to find out from the users. And sometimes the users are very subjective. They don't know what they want. They don't know what is possible. So you as a network expert, right, you should be able to provide that kind of guidance and also try to influence them if you can, right? If not, okay, then you have to rely on what they are, what they need, right? So a lot of times, like I say, we will see that the users, okay, themselves got politic one, right? There are certain things that they can buy, there's certain things they can purchase due to budget, due to political reasons, right? I think I mentioned during class before, right? Some companies, even SIM, right? They have uh restrictions, constraint, right? Due to budget, due to long-term relationship, right? Like if you look around, most of the monitor you have is actually from Think Center, from IBM, right? That's the IBM product. And they bought so much already. So they would love to continue that good relationship since we have bought them, then we buy the same kind of, if they have got the switches, I don't think they have, you can just continue to buy from them, right? So they might have their own agenda, basically, right? Politic, that they want to, instead of buying Cisco, they want to buy D-Link, right? So I did also mention political reason, like from top-down approach from the government, right? Some like the US, right? At one time, everybody is buying Huawei's routers, Huawei communication technologies, right? For 5G. Why? Because they are cheap, and good and working. US, don't know, expensive usually, but then because of some political reason, right? They top-down approach, right? Say, hey, this Huawei, you want to use at your own reach, then they get all their alliances and say, Huawei got this backdoor thing, they will record all your personal information, right? So then you're not allowed to use their products, right? So those are some of the reasons, right? So that's where you need to analyze, you need to talk, you need to communicate, okay? Okay, subjective and not easy. Right? So you need to communicate with the users, clarify, ensure, put them down in writing. Okay, right. So, and this is also what we covered earlier, right? Smart. How do we start off using the smart approach, which is as specific, no ambiguity, right? No, uh not something that you cannot measure, right? That's why we need to have something that is measurable, right? You cannot just say that, oh, okay, we will put in black and white. We will ensure that your network traffic is very fast. How fast is fast? What's your bandwidth? You must what bandwidth? Very high bandwidth. What's high bandwidth? It's very ambiguous. You need to be very specific. No need to the specific to extent. You must be able to pen down what's your capacity. 8 gigabits per second, right? And we measure against that, right, as the criteria. Okay, and you also must make sure don't guys propose the sky when you can't, okay, when you can't fulfill. So it must be something that is achievable based on the budget. Okay, not some very too expensive, so fast. So I mean, one of the approach is if the company is very rich, then you just propose everything super fast, or the super high end router, super high end switch. That's the easiest. Get the maximum, get the, but there could be a lot of wastage, right? So the ease will be just get everything the super fast, get the best wiring, get the best networking. So you got to be realistic, Not every company can have got all the resources, right? So traceability, timing, these are going to do with audit trail, right? Sometimes you set out a network. A lot of times you need to have ways to monitor the traffic to feedback, okay, so that you can know over time when is the peak period, when is the non-peak period, right? So find out more about the background of the projects. Okay, what are your existing system? What is your existing network? Are we talking about upgrading, or are we talking about, okay, overhaul change? Means you change all the legacy system, old system, throw away. We redesign everything. Okay, and ultimately we also want to talk about when you design something, okay, we must be able to reproduce, right? You design, or maybe you start with phase one. Phase one, like the school campus, so big, right? To test out your network design, to test out your whole system, network system, you maybe test in one building, right? Like SUSS, got block A, block B, block C. So we start out with the whole block A, okay, and set it up, deploy. Very good, it works. Okay, can you reproduce to block B? Can you reproduce to block C? In order to reproduce all this, you must have proper documentations. You must have proper design. All your work must be documented. Why do you need to document? Why do we always ask you for report assignment? Documentations are important so that when people come and go, people leave, people resign. Okay, the chief network designer, before deploy to block B and C, he resigned. The engineer, she also bring along. Then you lose all your network guy. Then how? Leave you in the lurch. If there's a proper documentations, how it's being set up. Is it a mesh network? How is the addressing like? Okay, how they did the subnetting are there. You might be able to reproduce it, okay, by having other people, right? So impact is very great if you are organizations, right? The knowledge, the know-how, the design must retain, okay, in the company. So is that a logical approach? Okay, so you need to have logical design, okay, like architecture, like a block diagram, before you dwell into the design. There's some difference between architecture and design itself. Later we'll elaborate more. Defensible, okay, you must be able to defend your design, right? That's what we try to do it in the presentations, right? So I might just ask you, hey, why you choose bus network for this lab? Right? Why not you use round robin or round, right? What's your justification? Okay, why do you use a star network in a server room? That's quite dangerous, right? Justify, tell me, convince me. Why didn't you use a mesh network? Why did you use a star network? Okay, where you have a single point of failure in the star network, right? So you guys should know. Go check it out. The differences, okay, of different network. So there are pros and cons, right? Star network, oh, it's so easy to set up. Just plug to one system, one device. Very easy to maintain. Very easy to troubleshoot. Yeah, it's very easy, right? But if it's not critical, it's fine. It's not a critical application. It's not a critical network. It's fine, right? But if it's a server room, naturally, you want to have more of those redundancy. So you must be able to defend, justifies your argument, right? So here we have, okay, usually the systematic approach is do the necessary requirement gathering, right? After that, you come up with a high level architectural design, architecture, and then you go to the design phase where you go deep into it, right? It's all explained over here. I leave it to you since we have already gone through, right? I'm just going to browse through, right? So you can see that the network analysis, right? So what you need to find out initially is, as I mentioned, what's the existing network? What's wrong with it? Too slow? Wrong design? Find out something about this. What's the problem, right? So that you have an idea. And who are the users? Are they techie, non-techie, or are they those very critical one, demanding one? And then with that information, then you start to pen it down, describe where's the traffic flow like. Is it a lot of uplink, downlink, okay, directions of the flow, simplex, duplex, half duplex, okay, where are most of the traffic that's being aggregated, right? So that's where we talk a little bit about flow analysis, right? The traffic flow analysis. That will be in one of the chapters, as well as mapping of the application on the internet. Where is your file server? Where is your email server? Where's your application server? Where is your important critical intranet server, right? So where are they residing? So where are the flow? This is where you try to gather as much before you come up with a proper top level architecture block diagram, right? So and you talk about the various topologies as I mentioned, right? Those topology, a rough one, okay, the whether it's two-level multi-tier hierarchy or single flat hierarchy, right? And the equipment, okay, the etc. So look out for any constraint or dependencies relationship, right? So you draw up the network block diagram to show also very important relationship. Well, what are the relationship between different group, different department, right? And who can access to what? I did also mention a certain department restricted R&D. They got very important document there where it's like the patent documents, their design, their research material. It should be outbound from the HR, accounting department, and the sales department, right? The sales department have their own critical documents like sales, okay, pricing list, right? Customer informations. They also don't want to just anyhow let the R&D engineer to have access to their network. So you need to have policies, you need to have the flow, okay, the access control, okay, the policy that you might need to kind of just work it out, right? And who can share, who can read, who can edit, who can update, right? So these are constraint dependency, etc. So then you might need to work out the different subnetting. Okay, so subnetting is like a big group of network, a big network, very difficult to manage. You need to have subnet. You need to have very different groups, right? And each of group, like I say, they have their own agenda. How do you divide them? How you separate them? And how you group them also, right? So you need to consider all this, right? And put them and pen that finally into the design, right? The design will be almost very detailed, okay, network setup, right? Like where is the equipment being located? Where is the IP addressing, right? What addressings space are you using, right? So it will be very detailed enough for the network engineer to come in and do the configuration to set up. Okay, so it's more like deployment, right? With the necessary performance, okay, capability of each of these traffic flow, right? So here again is what we try to emulate in this particular module, right? That's where we talk about the two assignment. So the first part of the feasibility report, 10%, assignment one, okay, will be at the analysis level, right? Assignment one and two are both group work, right? So quite safe for you guys. So maybe late in the first lab, or if you all want, you can start forming the group. I've given the full name list. I think there are about 30 students. Since yesterday, I downloaded the latest copy. Right? I think there should be 30 students, right? I already put down the list, right? So some of you didn't find your name. Hopefully you should find your name there, right? It's one of the Moodle link under the assignment grouping. So you can start forming groups, okay, so that you know who you are. I think 4 to 5% should be good enough. Not any group that is more than 6 or 6, right? Assignment 2, okay, will be the business proposal, right? That should also allow you to identify certain hardware, equipment, the costing. Okay, just give a rough estimated cost. Okay, hierarchy level, you should also identify the what kind of hierarchy. Is it multi-tier, 3 levels, 2 tiers, right? So the reason for all these tiers is hierarchy level is to be able to identify the different degree of concentrations, okay, and to be able to show the different group, how are they being linked, right? So, and how are they being ranked as well, okay? So the top level maybe have more access, okay, more privileged access to certain area. So it also help you to identify the size of the network, right? The size of the network and the addressing, okay, the kind of routing, okay, protocol that you might want to use, okay, so that you can also know where to focus, okay, where you can focus in certain group, right? And the hierarchy level also does show the interlink, right, which is actually the diversity, right? So more level, more complex, okay, and as you can see earlier, this is hierarchy, and if you have diversity, you can see that to go from this to here, either you can travel this way or you can at least 2 ways. right? If you want to travel from here to this place, how many routes can you go? I can go by this, I can go by this, I can go by this, right? You notice there are many ways, okay, to go. So that shows the kind of redundancies, extra network path that you can go around, right? So diversity can provide some degree, right? So more link, and this is where you can see where are the link, right? Of course, you introduce all this, okay, it will make it more complex, okay, but of course, you allow more flexibility, right? And the way we want to design is also, okay, based on different varieties of topologies as well as the different department, different requirement, different goal, different budget. Okay, the budget is also given differently. Some people have more budget, some department has less, right? So for any of the design or decision that you make, just make sure it's justifiable, right? So the complexity is not that is linear. Okay, doesn't mean you add in one equipment or one routers, one node, you'll be just times one, times two, times three, like that, right? It could be just because you add in one more, right? You add a lot more complexities, right? Just like the path just now I mentioned, right? So doesn't mean you just add one more link, okay, from here like that, you add one, just one only, just one complexity, one problem, but you might end up a lot of path, a lot of extra path, right? So you can see there's a lot more extra path that you can be creating. Okay, so the magnitude can deviate, right? So a lot of the decision, right, like I say, is always boil down to you got money or not, right? If you got all the money, then you choose all the high end, then you no problem with any constraint or any problem with the network, right? Everything is super fast, super big capacity, right? So there's also the technical complexity, right? How you actually can implement it. Okay, so there are certain constraint like policies, some firewall, some restrictions. So there's some technical challenge that you need to deal with, and other than budget, it's also the timing, right? Do you have enough time, right? So if you don't have time, then you introduce phase by phase, right? So sometimes it's a schedule, the skill, right? So if you look at, is it for one building, or is it just for one room, or is it just for one level, one lab? Okay, so like I say, SUSS itself already got at least 3-4 buildings, right? And so many levels, right? And each level has different requirement, different network setup, different equipment, right? In the office, setup are different from a lab network. Lab, right? It's different from how you set up in a lecture, right? And of course, at the end of the day, do you have enough resources to run 24/7? Run all the time. So you need to look at all these resources, right? So the decisions of the architecture design is from all angles, different factors you have to consider, right? Not just technical, but also non-technical as well. So make sure that you define the problems all properly, right? And so the requirement analysis and activities we run through, right? And we actually wrap up the lecture one by doing the last thing, which is actually to help you, okay, to quantify and get a good requirement in black and white, right? So one of the things that when we do analysis requirement, okay, we also want to ask, what is the must have? Okay, the must have. What is the must have that you need? The core requirement, the must, or might not be a must or must not, okay, or must not, or your this one must not let outside come in, right? What's the best way to prevent outside to come in? wiring, use wired one. Don't use wireless like some I told you. Oh, you want to introduce wireless, cannot, right? But wireless, your competitor upstairs or downstairs or beside your building or even outside your company, they can smooth your network. You want to implement good law, everything wireless, omnidirection, up, down, left, right. They can go and sniff your all your networking, right? They can get access, right? You look at the government, they try to ensure secrecy. They try to ensure that some of their intranet application cannot be accessed. Use wired law, right? The only way to tap information is you have to break into their perimeters, right? You have to break into their building to tap on the line, right? So call, must, or ask them what cannot have. Then the next thing is, what are some of the features can have or cannot have? So optional. At least you must also know if I can do, I'll do for you lah. Just like next time you go renovate your house, right? You talk to the you must say my house I need to have this, I need to have this. These are all the must have. But other than that, if you can help me, maybe my door instead of wooden door, just make a plastic door also can. Okay, so something like this, either wooden or so you have an option. So at least, okay, you know some features they like to have. You can do budget within budget. You do for them. If you cannot do, then it's okay right? Then you have also got the future enhancement. What is it that you want to scale up, right? So these are the three things, and that's where there are also others what is rejected or what is just for background information. Why we do this? Just to let you know because our boss don't like Cisco, right? Because maybe last time he worked in Cisco got kicked out, so now he don't really like it, right? So since he's the boss, he's paying the money, right? So he say no, or maybe he has relationship, okay, business relationship or good rapport with dealing other supplier, okay, right? He might prefer, more than prefer, and want to give business to friends, right? So whatever it is also some background information, okay? So in short, okay, we try to have keywords, and this is something that you need to put that in your assignment 1, okay? Feasibility studies, right? So we end off last week's last lecture on Monday, is it? With going through this. Okay, some of you maybe have missed it, right? So these are some example. Okay, I'm just going to flash the answers. So you have missed it, you can actually take down, right? So you can see the blue color are all the keywords. Okay, whatever it is. Okay, and this is also part of the requirement analysis. You can put in black and white, right? Some of it, or the network must support fast internet, must use Cat6, for example, cables, right? And must be in giga kind of a interface, right? So must means is a core C. Then should be, right? Upgradable, right? Maybe all the system like now you all use, I think, don't know, Windows 10, right? So maybe you should upgrade to Windows 11, right? So what is that? Okay, or the network backbone. I think it's going to we're going to have an overhaul of the background network. Change the network to fiber optical cables, right? But that maybe in 3 years time So you have to consider that, right? So it's like some future, okay, enhancement. Then very often you will have firewalls, right? So we need to have a demilitarized zone. We need to have a network, okay? We need to have an external and internal firewall. So you have to consider that, okay, in your network design. So these are also call, right? You say, hey, this is very important. Our business, okay, we need to protect against the external attack. Okay, we need to have firewalls. So it's a call, okay, call. And then these are information, right? So it can tell you, okay, information for your info. We have some legacy system, old system. Some of them are still running on IBM frame, the IBM mainframe, right? We are still running some old legacy software, and we got some Windows server that is like Windows 2000, where you now is what 2024 already. You still use Windows 2000. Why? Well, the accounting software that we bought is still running. It's not giving any problem. So why break it? And why enhance it when it's not? It's working very well and it's cheap, right? Well, a lot of the accounting software, they still use the old software. And the moment the software deploy over what? Windows 10 cannot run. Windows 11 cannot run. Right? Because some of the DLL function not there, not supportive, right? Or the Java program, the JDK no longer exists. So it doesn't work. So they need some of this. So these are like kind of information for you, lah, right? In case you use some firmware, then cannot connect to this legacy, and actually this is the old legacy, all their network cannot, right? And this one is a future enhancement, I think. Features, okay? And terminate, okay? Net call must not. This is where I say it can be negative, must not. Okay, and must support, right? And sometimes the last one is actually, okay, a statement can consist both call as well as some features, right? That's what happened over the last one, right? First part is actually a call. The second part is actually a features, right? So we have some more examples on this. So I'll let you to go and digest it, okay? Since this is the part where we left off in the last lecture. So moving on, okay, in the requirement analysis, okay, so it's always there's always a degree of difficulties in even communicating with the users, the client, right? After all, the client, the users are your customers. You should treat them well, right? You should talk nicely to them, even though they might be wrong. You must also swallow some of your pride, okay? So that why? Because after all, next time they're going to sign off, right? If you give them a hard time trying to gather the requirement and tell them, hey, your design is no good, bring them down. I can tell you, okay, you never manage your user, you never manage your client well. Next time they will stereotype, well, this vendor difficult to talk to him. I want this way, he still want to push me that way. He might not understand that he's wrong, but like I say, user customers are king. You have to subtly know how to convince them, okay, if you think you are very right. So you need to manage that relationship. It's very true, right? Like I say, they sign your bill, they sign your approval, they sign your UAT. If you don't know what's that, user acceptance test. I think some of you should know, right? Right? Okay, they sign all the requirement. Next time they're going to give you a hard time. Every time you deploy, no, not very good. No, test a few more times. They give you a lot more trouble. So you need to maintain that kind of relationship, right? Users, right? Very important. Otherwise, any bug, they will come and poke you, right? They will tell you, or then they will complain to their boss, this vendor, no good. Even though it's not your problem, they will just blame it on you, right? All kinds of things, right? Some, if you treat them well, you notice that, oh, actually, a little bit of favor, a little bit of, hey, can you, this one bug, right now during the user acceptance test, one of the bug, can't fix it, but can you sign off first? Right? You sign off, then we can collect money. The user acceptance test, all these things are very important. Alpha test, don't know what test. They can sometimes close one night. Okay, we sign off first, but you try to fix for me. Trust, right? At least you can fulfill your deadline. You also, as a deployment network designer, you have your agenda, right? You need to deploy certain date, fixed line, schedule must fix, right? A lot of time there will be also a lot of uncertainty. So give and take. We help you. We would, right? Or sometimes got problem, intermediate problem. They might not raise it up immediately to your boss or what, then they will start to ask, hey, how come your network sometimes work, sometimes don't work, right? Some will might just help you, okay, I give you a few more times, right? Or sometimes you need 1 week, okay, to deploy because not just your problem, it could be your supplier, contractor, right? We can deploy on this date because we know you're going to launch it, but sorry, one of the routers, we order wrongly, right? It always happen, right? We order 8 port, they give us 4 port, right? Or give us a faulty equipment. We need 2-3 days of delivery time, or we need to reorder. Or even last time I worked, the model number write wrongly, or sometimes people see wrongly. Like I say, might not be your fault, It could be your vendor, your partners deliver the wrong parts. You ask for router, they give you switch. 笑料, right? You need a router to configure a lot of policy, but then you want to ask for Weber to have more time. The users sometimes, since last time you bring me down, this time I don't want to give face, or you don't give me face, I don't give you face. Then you have a problem. So this is about personal relationship, right? So remember, it's about how to manage your customers, right? Give and take. You treat them well, they will treat you well. They will give you easier time, okay? Because if you are the subcontractor, you're going to face a lot of issues, right? Not any deployment will be very smooth, right? So, uh, so it's very important to ensure your requirements are proper, right? Detailed enough, right? And something that when you design, you're also comfortable, or got confidence, right? Otherwise, okay, you also have issues, right? So these are some of the needs for requirement analysis, right? Here, right? In case just now, those list is not enough. Okay, so part of your feasibility study, which is your assignment 1, right? You should have at least 1 page to list out some of these, right? Part of the analysis, right? Feasibility studies, and then, right? So you should word it, okay, like just now those way that we have talked about, right? You can also identify with part of the analysis. You must know how many users, 150, 200, 300, because that also have an impact on your addressing, right? IP addressing. How much addresses do we need? This department got how many users, right? So you need to gather how many departments are there, how many subnet do you need, how many class, do you need a supernet also? We will discuss all those, right? At least an idea and overview, okay, of the scalability. Are they going to scale up? Are you going to expand? Okay, and is it localized, okay, area, like only in Singapore? Maybe they start to think, we need to have another branch office in JB, in Indonesia, Jakarta. So how do you manage that? And you must support. See, what's the backbone? Who's the ISP? Is it connect to Singtel, S1, M1, etc.? And the other important thing is, what app? What are you going to put in this network? This network area? Inventory control, warehouse, okay? Or is it a security networking system, monitoring all the campus-wide, right? Server network also got campus-wide kind of monitoring, right? Every corridor, every room, toilet also have everywhere. So you know the kind of scalability, the inventory, right? As well as database, kind of database. right? When do you do your backup? Okay, every day there will be backup for any companies, right? Because they need to back up the day's work, the day's email, a lot of information to back up, right? The schools also have, right? Database, student result, student enrollment. They don't do the best job during office hour, during daytime, because most people will be using only when midnight, then they start to do the batch job, right? So you need to know the kind of database they use, using MySQL or using flat file, Jalat, right? Or relationship managed database, right? IBM DB2, etc. The database application, how many database server do you have, right? How many things are you backing up, right? Is it just the email server or the file server or any other transaction server, right? The school also deal with a lot of transactions, such as what? Buy, purchase, and also student fees. Right? Not everybody student fee all pay on time. Some pay later, some pay earlier. Right? Every day you have transactions one. Right? The school also have to manage. Right? The finance department have lots of payment. Okay, and engineering. Okay, is there engineering? And also you also need to know your app, is it critical? Is it high resolution video imaging? This got heavy weightage on the capacity, right? The video images take a long, right? Or your students are, let's say you are like SOTA, School of the Arts. Well, they do a lot of animations, they do a lot of design. Oh, that one, a lot of uploading, upstream, downloading, right? Unlike maybe School of Business, most of them are Word documents, right? And then programming, also very small. Most of your program, you write PHP, Python, all very small file. C language small. Unlike people are all multimedia, music, animations, okay? That is high demanding. So you need to know, are they using a lot of visual applications, right? And then payroll. All companies, once or twice or even a few times, they break it down, right? Other than receiving your payment, they also have to pay salary, payment processing, payroll every month, right? Some pay daily rate, some monthly rate. So they need to process, okay? So when do they do it? What time? You also need to know. So these are something that you just write it out. You can make some assumption. If you don't know how to make assumption, then of course assignment you talk to me, right? So your group are supposed to at least come up with some questions and clarify, right? Or you can make your own reasonable assumption. But whatever it is, pen it down, right? Pen it down so that we will mark against. You say got this, your network design got follow this and this, the kind of capacity. You want what? 100% uptime. How do you do 100% uptime? Okay, do you have extra server? Do you have UPS, uninterrupted power supply? Do you have extra server? Do you have transactional server? Okay, to manage the load, right? So you got to explain, and why is your network okay durable, right? How do you tell me, right? So and outside campus remotely, okay, how do you do connect up to people who do remote office? Now a lot of what work from home, right? Then you got to provide another VPN, okay, out. So pen it down, okay? Like the company must have VPN, must allow, okay, connectivity. Like for example, University of Wollongong in Australia, Melbourne area around there, right? It must be able to connect to Singapore. Why? Because your SM Central, okay, where I enter result, I must connect to it, right? Otherwise, how to enter result or how to upload some materials, right? So you must have that connectivity, right? Do you have it, right? And the kind of minimum and the maximum, right? So these are just some example. You can take a look. So it's example of a a typical requirement analysis, right? There's no like you need to come up with 20, 30, just come up with sufficient will do lah. But of course, 3 or 4 is too little lah, right? So you all have to just kind of gauge, right? Another way is, other than that, that's just making a statement. But there are also offer for you to put in part of your 10%, but you can work as a group, right? First, of course, okay, this one you can mock it up, smoke some dates. When when requirement analysis, it doesn't take, sometimes it doesn't take one meeting. It might take multiple meeting. And you got to talk to a lot of people, right? When I did one project with Raffles Medical Group, we took 1 year just to get the requirement analysis. It's a humongous medical billing system. It's really crazy, right? Boogie Street, that Raffles, there's so many stories, right? Not only that, they have branches in Ang Mo Kio, Jurong. Those are their branches clinic, right? The billing system is so complex. Okay, why is it so complex? It's worse than the hotel, right? Hotel got off peak period, peak period. You think hospital don't have? When you get hospitalized, when you check in, before midnight, after midnight, all different rate one, right? What time you check out? 1.5 day, half day, right? Some only just sleep a few hours, right? All the billing things, all the medical things that you use, right? Got different charges on. You use it in the clinic, cheap one, cotton bud in the cheap, very cheap. But you use it in the operating theater, double the price. You all don't know, right? And then operating theater got so many things. Got gas, epidural, got medicine, all different units. Some is sachet, some is time based, okay, kind of billing. Some is quantity, some by weight, all kinds, right? Wait till you get hospitalized. Okay, most of us will one day get into hospitalized. We'll get sick. We'll get something like accident or what. You never realize once you stay in a hospital for just 1 week, the bill can come out to $10,000, $20,000, right? Some of the things you don't even know. Hey, did I have it? When did I use it? They say when you're sleeping in the operating theater, we use some of this thing. You suck so much oxygen, you suck so much thing. You wouldn't know. All the nursing are ding, 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 ding. Then the list come out. Wow, what holy and then the medicine bill also. Then you got various surgical specialists, right? Epidural, some X-ray, some everybody all come into the theater. You also don't know, right? Some are foreigners, foreign talents, or what, depending on their rate, right? They also got different rate. Some medical doctor, okay, like what? If you ask for the chief, okay, got different rate, right? Some charge GST, some don't charge GST. That is still okay. When it come to, like I say, when it come to billing, that's a nightmare. Some people can say, oh, this one can half use MediShield and half use my daughter's bill, half use this, half pay by cash, half check, half credit card. Can worse. I got a few insurance. I want to use Great Eastern, AIA. The kind of one bill you can divert to a lot. And then some company I can claim. Then the company got different thing also. Say maximum you can claim is for employees. Okay, if you are executive, maybe $500. But you're CEO, okay, all the top rank, senior rank, you got 1,000, 2,000, right? All kinds of criterias, right? And some will use CPF, Medisave, some use cash, some use kids or parents, okay, all split until shall, right? And then different companies, they have different insurance policies, right, for their employees, right? Depending on, even also, you work 5 years, okay, cover more. And some they don't cover, some they cover, some medicine they cover, some medicine, you gotta divide those bills. It's just crazy, right? So that's why we took 1 year, right? Because we got to talk to different people and really different people. One building system used by who? The nurse or then the counter clerk or then the pay, account clerk or right? All different, right? So so this is where we talk about, okay? At least you must categorize. These are from the users. These are from at least the application, the software. What, okay? What is the software that's demanding the traffic, right? So some engineer, they use CAD/CAM or what AutoCAD design, or some architecture firm, they also use a lot. So those are the application that is a lot of high demand. Okay, if you are using email, not critical lah. Email is asynchronous, right? Or use the best effort to deliver. You don't need like email send already, you must be able to receive it. Right? Most of us, sometimes you send me email, I take me 1 or 2 days to reply. Okay, or I didn't even see it. It's not, you don't need to have the real time, right? But so you need to identify what is your main business, right? Which are critical, which are not critical, which are real time, which are not real time. So you got to pen it down. So this is the description and who give it, and of course also location, right? Just now I told you, at least you must roughly, like you ask us, SUSS, where's your server room? Is it level 5? Which building? Block 5? Block B or block C? Okay, and they might be putting a different place, right? Some might aggregate together. Where do you put your email server? Maybe at level 1, right? Maybe what application server like the e-learning, the SIM Connect, okay, the portal, they put it at another building, right? They diversify, in case one building collapse, then they still got another building, right? I can tell you a lot of higher institute like the Polytechnic, they cover each other, right? Like Nanyang Polytechnic, their backup server is in RP. RP backup server is in SP. They cover each other in case something what Woodland electric power short circuit, right? All the Woodland estate, all no power. At least the RP students still can access their e-learning, right? From SP. SP can support, right? Because they have got all the RP information. So you have actually backup each other, right? At different locations. So can you set up all that kind of network? And how do you backup? Also everyday backup, right? Right? How can you backup once a week? Count unless it's not important, right? So application and also devices. As I mentioned, now more and more devices are add on to your device, to the network. Okay, in part of your assignment, you are supposed to don't tell me just server and Windows on or laptop only. Okay, you give me that one also, you won't get high D or distinction. If another person can propose, wow, smart meeting room with smart TV. Smart TV is also need connection there. Eh? Smart printer also got printer leh. You know, these are typical things that you should connect, right? Here don't have printer. Last time you used to have printer, right? So now you have more gadgets that's connected to the campus, right? Not so much the smart camera yet lah, right? Next time they should have smart camera. So smart camera will have IoT sensors. Okay, not just camera. Camera can recognize, okay, the people, right? So you need to include some of these gadget into your network design, okay, for your assignment too, right? So don't just propose only simple computing devices. Okay, yeah, I will just skip this for a while. Right, so there is also this requirement map. Okay, next time we'll come back to that Mentimeter lah. Now, today I think we a bit short because we did first part on lecture 1. So requirement map. So this is just a simple architect, just a simple layout lah. okay, of how the different floor, like a floor plan, so you have an idea how your wiring or network get to put. So it's just a simple one, right? So if you have time, you can draw this, at least you know, like 30 users, 60 users, like this lab. Here are all the labs. Okay, this side is lab, that side is not lab lecture, right? That side no computer, not only one instructor PCs, right? So other than that, okay, part of the requirement specs over here, I miss out is the status. Okay, TB, this one anything like you just put anything TBD is to be determined right? Haven't decided. But if you know, just put in anything and make your own assumption. But the other one, of course, maybe you want to put high priorities. Okay, must quickly do up, must quickly set up, or it's a critical business, right? Or non-essential one. So you state what is it that is important or not important, right? So you think email not important, okay lor, not important lor. But the Facebook workplace very important because that is the working collaboration tools, right? Email can wait, right? I didn't read your email for one day, never mind. But workplace collaboration like R&D research, you must have connectivity. I must have connect to the internet also, right? Otherwise, a lot of things cannot do, right? Like sometimes we go to office, well, no email breakdown, but you should be able to do other intranet activities like if you work in the utility companies like monitor all the all the gas piping, all the engine status. Okay, you must make sure those monitoring devices must be up and running. Okay, so the priority, right? Up to you to specify the levels, high, low, define them. Okay, and of course, how do we measure success? We did also one word, metrics. Okay, how do you measure fast? How do you measure what is the unit? We are talking about that so that we can measure the success. We will have some examples. So with the metrics, that's where we can sign off from the users. Right? You come up with all these. At the end of the day, you want to deploy. You deploy already, then you must get people to pay you money. How do you get people to pay you money? You must have meet the requirements, right? I set out the network traffic. Your email now can work already. Can send within 1 minute you will receive. So you receive. We send. Within 1 minute you have it. Okay, lor, right? So you can right. Or I upload a image file to the server. Okay, my requirement is within 1 second. It should finish uploading 10 meg or 1 gig. Okay, that's quite fast out. Okay, or you say within 1 minute should be able to finish uploading 1 gig file. And if he can complete within that time, then meet the requirements. Then the users have to sign off, right? So you need to have that to verify, to also as a form of monitoring. Doesn't mean okay when it's new, no traffic, okay lor, 1 gig, 1 minute. But then later on you find, wow, during peak period where a lot of students are accessing during lunch break, like some of you, office time, during lunch period, well, everybody surf YouTube, everybody go to social media. Then you hold back, okay, on the internet, right? You have a weightage, right? So there's peak and non-peak. So you need to have also need to have some network monitoring tools to measure okay and also to spec out. You must tell the concern during peak period. You might not expect 1 gig to be uploaded to the file server in 1 minute. If it's 2 minutes, okay or not? If they okay, then you get the deal, you get sign off, right? If during peak period when people are playing games, playing social media, uh, 2 minutes not enough, then you extend, right? Find it agreeable. So, so you need to have a network monitoring case system to measure. So which means that when you design a network, you also must incorporate allowances such as network monitoring tools. Network monitoring tools is also going to clock up, okay, the traffic. Why? because they will be polling every time. They will be monitoring every time, every time monitoring, right? They go to sample, they go collect the information, traffic information. So in a way, you got to work out what is the capacity, okay? Where is the threshold? Where is the lower limit and where is the upper limit? Okay, something like this, right? Where is the tolerance level, right? So when it hits certain threshold, it give a give a warning sign, right? Just like your hard disk space, right? Your handphone also, right? When you have a 128 gig hard memory, storage phone memory, right? Or you subscribe to Google Cloud storage, right? So if it hit 90%, it will give you warning, right? That's what happened. When it hit 100, then you're dead already, right? Especially your server, right? When it hit 100, full, all occupied, a lot of your server app will not be able to work, okay? Or even the RAM. Now you buy a server only 8 gig, siao lah. Huh? Where got people server only 8 gig configure wrongly? Right? Running so many things, application, the server 8 gig, very fast you run out of RAM memory, right? Or even hard disk, right? There's also what? Temporary files that is constantly being created, right? You will take out the space and why are you experience slow in your traffic? Might not be your problem, it's not your network or my router switches all working well. Then you find out actually it's your server lah. It's not my problem. We are network setup. It's your server. Your server can run out of memory. That's why it's so slow. It's processing so slow. Not enough. Not enough. You run a hard disk with 90%. Okay, left only 10%. Sure cannot one because they will have working files, temp files, right? You will eat up and then they can't save. Then they will hang. Okay, they will run out buffer overflow, right? Same for RAM. So you must be able to identify, is it your problem? That's why application are important. Is it your problem or your server problem or your application problem, right? So that you don't find all the time trying to find out it's your network, but it's actually somebody's fault, right? So of course, when you hit the limit, it should, when you hit the limit, you have problem, okay? So of course, there could also be agenda. What actions? What actions? What action should you take when you hit a limit, right? So file storage space running at left 10% capacity, you should either send an SMS to the network engineer or database engineer, or you should shut down, okay, before some fault come in. More important, right? So you might need to shut down some application is not important, right? So you might have batch job reach maximum already. Then some of those non-critical ones are better shut down, shut down, right? Or drop the data packet, right? Drop the data packet. So these are just some action item, and these are the conforming ones. So you need to spell out the capacity in terms of megabits per second, gigabits, or terabytes, up to you, depending on your users. Right, network service requirements. So same thing, we have to get the users, you need to talk to the users, and also the application, and also the server, device, network requirements, right? And users, okay, going back quickly, these are quite trivial. Users are the one that's less technical one. It's like I say, it's a personal, okay, and relationship, right? And how you handle them. And users, like I say, sometimes are very subjective. I already told you, when you talk to them, they also don't know what they want. They also don't know, understand too much of the networking. So you might not be talking to the right person if you're not talking to the IT guy, right? Just like you talk networking to a nurse, to a finance, to a account clerk. They also don't know. They just know that I want things, the responsiveness of the website or the app within 3 seconds. I don't know how many megabits. I don't know how many gigabits. Then you got to work out lah, right? I only know that when I click submit, within 3 seconds, it should have the results come out. Okay, then you got to derive the traffic. How fast is it? In terms of mega or gigabits or byte per second, right? So that's where you have to configure. That's the user part. Okay, so users, what do they want? Okay, all these things. Okay, the points. They want timeliness. Okay, when they want it, they have it. During peak hour, they also can use it, right? You don't want to have time like sorry 12 to 1 cannot use e-learning you also don't want that kind of restriction, isn't it? Right? So you want any time as and when you want to submit a assignment, you can submit, right? So timeliness, right? So we also need to know how many users, what's the expectation. So the elaboration are given in the following slides, right? Users, what's their expectation? Timeliness, able to do their work, able to upload certain file, download. That's where I talk about the upstream and downstream. There are different speed also, right? Do you upload a lot of time? Sometimes people don't upload. They download a lot of things, right? Like students, most of the time, students download is only at the start of the semester. At the end of the semester, most people start to upload, right? So you must know when's the seasonal period and when do they do it? When's the deadline for submission, right? So reasonable time to be given. Interactivity is what's the response time? 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Reliability, 99%, right? Like just like MRT. People expect MRT should be 100%. When I want to take the train, I have it, right? And it should be always there, right? I don't want to have a time where I can't take the train, right? So you need to ensure, okay? So there are regulators who make sure that things happen, right? Like SMRT, LTA, the policeman, right? The ATM machine, MAS, regulator, the police, right? IMDA, police the Singtel M1. If your network, okay, cannot have that kind of services, we will fine you, give you penalty. DBS, what during people cannot use PayLah, PayNow, ATM doesn't work because of something, then who to blame? Is it your software or is it Singtel M1? Is it network? So somebody got to watch out to ensure that kind of a standard service level of agreement. When you sign up with any contract, you will be given a service level. Just like when you sign up with Singtel, they give you a service level of agreement, isn't it? Okay, so this is where you need to ensure the level of agreement can sustain. Okay, and then of course user requirement also expect, not just respond. Wow, when I want to see YouTube, must not have lagging. Okay, it must be clear, crystal clear. Why? Because my smart TV is 72-inch, very high resolution. So I'm expecting good, right? So people are expecting, okay, if you go and plug a single core cable, right? Coaxial cable, might not be able to make it. You must use fiber optic cables already, right? You must use light pulse already because that's the kind of precision or quality that people are looking at, audio or video, right? The sharpness. So then the adaptability, people will say, like I say, we need to have remote access, VPN, right? So you need to have that. Do you have that? Right? And also the securities. Okay, these are also some of the consideration that you need to watch out. Security, what security? VPN, transaction, second factors, encryption, decryption. You need dash, triple dash. Okay, you need to have all this. So you need to ensure that there are some access control also, right? And of course, budget. Okay, functionality. It must function for certain application. Are you using podcasting, video conferencing? Okay, what software you use? So you also must go and find out so that you can perform accordingly, right? And of course, the last slide, okay, is actually the maintainability, right? Can I support? Is it easy to support? Some people will find wow very difficult. We don't have the necessary technical people, right? So maintenance, okay, to keep the thing, and of course, any enhancement, right? So you should also allow scalability, enhancement, okay, just like your addressing. Don't because the department only 30 people and you just give them 30 IP address. That's all. There's no room for expansion, right? There's no room for no buffer. So you need to make sure that your network can create redundancy and create new expansion. Right. So I think we'll have a short break. Maybe 9 o'clock when you come back, we will just continue another 20 or 30 minutes. Right. So can we have a short break? Uh, Sorry, I've forgotten the interim. But anyway, let's have a short break. Come back at 9, then we will continue a little bit more. Okay, right. We move on to chapter 3, right? So we just going to go through a few more slides before we call it a day. So we have talked about user, right? So user being very subjective and is somebody that you know how to deal with, okay? And basically they are the people that going to pay you your salary or whatever, okay? So you got to be sensitive to them, and at the same time, okay, you need to dig information from them, right? So when you need to dig information, you need favor, so you should be tactful in terms of getting the requirements, right? Otherwise, you might not be getting all the requirements that you need, right? So some of the thing is you might need to throw in open-ended question. Okay, what do you do? How do you go about dealing with some problem? Okay, and sometimes you might want to spend a day or two to just observe. Okay, what they do, right? So and also to manage their expectation also lah, right? So using the system, how they use, how regularly they use the applications. Okay, so these are some of the things that you might want to ask them. Like some people use Microsoft Outlook every day in the morning. The first thing they do is everybody look at the email, right? They won't go into whatever accounting system or whatever application, right? They do. The first thing is read the email. And after that, they don't read anymore, right? They might have Zoom meeting. When do they usually have the Zoom? So these are some of the things, and also at the same time, okay, look at the kind of software that they use. Is it intensive? Does it draw a lot of data? Okay, like some people could be doing security monitoring system, right? Then they will be looking at the video, okay, a bunch of video animation, video streaming, and both. Is it just video? Does it include audio, etc.? So some are in the managing, huh? Or is it critical? Okay, financial trading system. right? That also very crucial, right? Like stock and share, well, real time. Okay, so you happen to work in a company or work for a company like Philips, okay, or SGX, okay, then you can see all the a lot of not so much data, what micro media, okay, kind of streaming, but a lot of text, okay, like the pricing, the stocks, okay, the dynamic of those share, but also a lot of informations, a lot of real time, and these are real time information because any delay in any stock pricing or change in price means could be profit and losses, right? So you need to look at the applications, okay, and the capacity requirement, right? Some interactions need very fast, but actually the data streams are all not multimedia, right? So so you need to be aware, and like I say, the directions of the data transfer, is it upstream or downstream? Is it you're receiving or you're sending, right? And when do you do that? Is it FTP or is it a RAID services, such as a backup, okay, database backup or what kind of backup, okay? And where is the application server? Is it very far or is it next door, right? Sometimes distance does matter. Does it go through a lot of network, right, on different nodes, right? So it does have a impact on the transmission and the whole end-to-end transmission, right? So you look at the messaging, is it extensive video streaming, a lot of podcasting, etc. So we also look at, like I say, software. In this chapter sections, we focus more on the software itself. So there are a lot of softwares, okay? And here, list some of the software, right? I listed a few lah. There's a lot more. Do you use a lot of multimedia stuff, Telegram stuff, okay? Zoom, gaming. There are some companies that you need to design for is a gaming industries, right? So they do a lot of online gaming, right? So they need a lot of multimedia. Or is it providing cloud storage, cloud computing, right? Or is it the what Bitcoin mining company, right? They mine all the Bitcoins. Then you need a lot of energy, a lot of server power, or we are talking about big data analytics. People are doing a lot of analysis, collecting a lot of big data, right, to do processing. It might not be also receiving, uploading, but the server itself is doing a lot of extensive processing, right? So here we talk about the top 11, okay? If you look at the top three, merely communication, right? Telecommuting, right? Video conferencing, right? So this a lot of traffic communications. Data sharing could be collaborating, right? Or people all working on the Google Cloud when you do project, okay? 5, 6 of you will be using the same Google Cloud document, right? Working on the same file. So, or it could be transferring of informations or software sharing, right? Sharing of software, right? Sharing of software, licensing software. For example, uh, some uh, some database software, right? Or some licensing, or could be some engineering software that are multi users. Okay, so these are some example, and of course, hardware sharing, such as monitoring. Right nowadays, a lot of people put home security cameras, right? I'm sure you have. Next time you got kids, you might like you have maid. Sometimes you want to monitor at home. Like me, I actually subscribe to or buy one D-Link cameras, very portable, wireless. Can mount it where? My parents-in-law place, right? Because we need to monitor. And then my wife got 6 other siblings, right? So actually 7 people are actually watching the video and see if the maid are doing the right things, are the parents doing okay, right? So you got many people trying to access, right? So hardware accessing, sharing the same security camera, right? And then nowadays all the smart cameras got audio one, right? So you can even talk to the cameras, right? And you can hear it using some using handphone, some using computer, some using iPad, right? So or internet sharing, right? So uh, doing YouTuber, doing multimedia, live streaming. Now a lot of TikTok, a lot of video, a lot of live podcasts, right? Facebook, people use live streaming to sell their merchandise, right? Live, right? They use it as a auction bid and all this, and people, thousands of people are watching them on how they sell those live streaming. So unique, so these are important, right? And now even got what we're gonna have Zoom, okay, Zoom lectures. Next week got one Zoom lectures. So make sure you know. I think uh, you look at the Moodle, okay? Moodle, I think in the announcement, I think it's the one of the night. I think is it Friday night? I think so. It's all there. I think it's 11th of July. Okay, so we have 3 sessions, okay, on Zoom video. So that is also can be quite extensive, okay, when you have a family, okay, that using home internet. So application type. Okay, so other than that, we also try to group them. Okay, group the various 10, 11 application, communication, data sharing, file sharing, etc., software sharing, whatever it is, we want to know, right? Is it critical? So you rate them, okay, and then give a certain guaranteed high performance capacity, right? So you look at the capacity rating, or must be real-time interactivities. Or are you just like YouTube, just watching the video only, right? But now it's no longer just video and watching, like Zoom. It's not just video, audio, but also student can ask question, right? So it's like full duplex. Okay, while the instructor is talking, there are students who can interrupt, can also hijack the traffics, right? So this is where we talk about real-time interactivity. Can you support that kind of traffic, right? Or is it mission critical, right? So this talk about reliability, okay, just like uh, the ATM, okay, the payment gateway, critical, highly critical, right? Real-time trading is also highly critical because people buy things any time of the day, right? Or during peak period, especially seasonal period, right? So your e-commerce website, your e-business, can it still allow that kind of transactions, right? So you need that kind of reliabilities, right? So especially single day, Black Friday, okay, so the e-marketplace like Taobao, Alibaba, AliExpress, okay, or even uh Audio House, right? On the 7th of July. Okay, I think there was an advertisement last year also. 7th of July coming also. 7/7, they got the advertisement. Then they will say during this period, between midnight, okay, there will be 50%. You can be assured that thousands, hundred thousands of people could be transacting. Right? It may not be just Singapore, globally, right? Especially it's a international global e-marketplace, right? So here are some more examples on the type of application that require some minimum guarantee kind of capacity or standards, okay, such as teleconferencing, right? You don't want to have a Zoom meeting where it's a bit lagging, right? Where the video lag behind the people who talk, or the talk audio lag behind, right? Or when you have like telemedicines and all this, might not be that critical, but people still like to have a seamless kind of a feeling, right? So like Doctor Anywhere, when some of you even go online to get MC, okay. Okay, FTP is not that critical, right? So you transfer files. Sometimes if it's not important, you don't mind waiting another extra 1 or 2 minutes, right? Or even 10 minutes, right? Sometimes we upload, okay, just let it upload for a while, right? Whether it's a 1 minute, 2 minute, it's not that critical. So that is fine, right? But it could be a different matter where we talk about during quiz, right? During assignment submission, right? Where maybe during a test, you're required to submit then in the last 5 minutes. That's where it's critical when you have like 200 students trying to do the last minute submission within that 5 minute bandwidth, right? So can your traffic support that, especially where there's a lot of pictures, image file that's been attached, right? So we estimate based on data rate, okay, based on baud rate, right? So there's some differences, baud rate and data rate. Data is basically the most important bit per second. Baud rate, it could be a signal change, right? So you also need to find out what is the peak, okay? What's the maximum, and what is the minimum, and what is, other than maximum, minimum, you also want to make sure that what's the sustainable, right? How can it sustain, right? Some can peak, but can for a short while, but cannot sustain. But can you maintain the average speed, right? So this is where we talk, whether it can sustain for 1 week, 1 hour. Why? Because the reason like backup, you think backup so fast, within 1 or 2 minutes can finish backup. Every day there's so many emails, so many work that's been done by the students. Okay, at the end of the day, you need to back up the whole organization or work. Right? It might take 1 hour or 2 hours easily. Right? So sometimes you see some of the batch job do at the back end, especially the banks, the banking. So daytime, so many transactions, they need to do backup. Right? That's why sometimes they dedicated some time for maintenance. Right? Sometimes take 2-3 hours to complete the whole backup. So can your traffic sustain the count speed flow for 2 to 3 hours, right? Not that it's intermediate, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. So it becomes very unpredictable. Okay. Over here, again, is on the capacity. So we talk about real time, and we naturally always look at the size of the whole transmission. Not only that, we also look at the task completion, right? So typically, okay, so sometimes you can get some information, typically how fast or how much you are backing up. Is it 1 terabyte? Okay, every day standard, every day I think we have about 1 terabytes to upload, to backup, right? Or 1 terabyte to download, right? Depending on upload or download stream and the task to complete. What's your expectation? We need to finish the backup in 1 hour or 2 hours. So there might be some criteria. So watch out for some of these, and then discuss with the users on the expectation, right? On the kind of pricing, on the type of equipment that you propose, whether it can satisfy their expectations, right? So other very criticals are like video surveillance cameras. Okay, video surveillance. It's supposed to be 24/7, right? When you have securities, right? When you have perimeters, that's a lot, right? And you have many cameras, right? How many cameras do you have? And the kind of image resolutions, right? We did have one time where we have cameras, right? And then we suspect that one of the students actually mistook certain item, right, from the computer lab. Okay, when we go back to the camera and try to scrutinize, then we realize, okay, the resolution so blurred that you can't even see. You can see the person wearing black, white pants, but when you try to zoom in, resolution not good enough, become the surveillance camera, like no need to put also can. You can't even identify the students, right? Or identify the thief, right? Then no point, right? So what is your objective, right? If you just want to know, okay lah, the incident happened at the end of class about 10 p.m. That's all. But can you identify the student? You can't, because resolution, the image, okay, is not good enough, right? So you might need to change the camera, or is it because of the streaming, right? So so you need to identify the location, right? The distance also very important, right? I'm sure you know, you get a charging wire, you get a short one, okay, can charge, right? But if you get you're going to charge something that is more than 2 meters, 3 meters, you're going to find out you need to have a special cable, special wire, right? Otherwise, it will not do fast charge, or you cannot charge properly, right? So the distant location wise case are even more important if it's very far, right? So this all about chatting, okay? So a lot of the things are quite text based, so I'll leave it to you to read that. I think a lot of things I repeated before. So uh, so this is on the calculation of data flow, right? So at the end of the day, we want to work out some figures, like this: 10 megabits per second or 10 megabytes per second. So there's a difference. Just make sure you know it's a byte or bits, right? So like for example, okay, a typical way to calculate the data flow. So you ask the user, okay, so usually how much data? So they can find out. They save the file. You can see the size of the file, right? Let's say I save a file, typical image, then you can find hard disk, proper. What's the hard disk? What's the file size? Okay, and how long? So you can work out. So if let's say a file very small, this is 10 megabytes, for example, or terabytes. Okay, and then to complete in 1 second. So naturally very easy to work out. So you work out, same right? So here also mentioned, right? Usually for data flow, can take note, data flow is bits per second. Okay, not byte. Size is talk about bytes, right? Usually we say 10 megabytes, 10 terabytes, 10 gigabytes. Okay, but when it comes to data rate, we always say convert it to bits. So you must make sure you times 8, right? Why 1 byte is 8 bits? So by right or by left, it should become like this, right? So also take note, okay, bits is small b, right? So when you say byte, it should be capital B. So small little thing like this. So ultimately, at the end of the day, okay, when you have a 10 megabyte to be transmitted in 1 second, it should be computed as 80 megabits per second. Okay, so that's the data flow rate, right? So how do you find the size? Look at the hard disk, the file size, then you go and use a system to calculate, okay, how fast is it, right? Okay, so there are some command base. This is the command base, okay, text base. Okay, so in the past we used to use this. Now everything is manual or window based, or now even dynamic. Okay, maybe in the future. Okay, that's why the future, the speed now is maybe 5G, 6G, no good enough, because next time we are talking about hologram. Okay, virtual reality, augmented reality, 3D imaging, right? Hologram, all this, maybe a lot more traffic that is required, right? So we talk about delay. Okay, just now we talk about delay as part of the performance, right? Other than data rate, which is the performance, then we also talk about delay, time delay. So delay is what? Delay. I send you something, how long it take to receive it? So that's the delay. It take 1 second means 1 second, right? So the time difference between the transmit or receiving by the receiver, right? So it's about end to end. Or when people talk about round trip, some people want to talk about round trip, right? I ping you, right? Ping to ping, you know the ping, right? I ping something. A ping is go and then echo back, right? That's a round trip. So you got to consider, right? Some is we are talking about round trip, you know, not one trip. So you have to be careful. Your data rate, what are we talking about? Is it round trip? So like for example, you browse a page. I search for something, then you're supposed to reply back. Or I go Chap1, ask for something, and you're supposed to reply. So that's a round trip. How fast you reply me, right? Or if I'm just saving, I just save.